Welcome back for another episode of Branching Out with Sierra. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about company culture. A lot of organizations start with strong culture when they're small, and then as time passes and they grow, communication might shift, leadership might get further from the front lines, and then that culture can slowly drift. I'm excited to dig into a really strong culture right here in this community. In today's episode, Culture That Scales, Leading Through Growth and Crisis. Today's episode, I have with me Mr. Scott Harvard, the CEO of First Bank here in Winchester, Virginia. He has served as a Virginia Community Bank CEO since 1985. And since 2011, served as president and CEO of First National Corporation and CEO of its subsidiary, First Bank, since May of 2011. So as you can see, he has decades of leadership in community banking, both leadership during the 2008 financial crisis and through the COVID pandemic. So lots of stuff to talk about today. He's led an organization that continued to grow and scale, but has remained well known for its strong, healthy culture. So thank you so much, Scott, for being here today. I'm excited to finally do this. I know we've scheduled it a couple times. We're very busy people, but we made it happen.
Yeah, it wasn't just shame on me, was it, Sierra? I mean,
no.
It went both ways?
It went both ways.
Good.
There was a little bit of both this time around, but we finally made it happen. Thank you so much.
No, I'm excited to be here. I was glad I found you.
Yeah, I know.
I struggled a little
Hard
bit.
Hard to find. It's okay.
All good. No, I'm excited to be here. I did see one of your introductory podcasts and learned a little bit more about your background and how you came to be here, and it was really interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. Really I always joke, if you go back way too far, that was in the initial days of the podcast. I was very nervous. It's very outside my comfort zone to be on a podcast. So over time, I would like to say it's gotten a little bit better, but those first few podcasts were a little rough.
Well, you observed that was out of your comfort zone, and
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
actually, and I think observe that's how you've really made yourself grow into the role you're in now, which is great.
Yeah, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. That's something we're going to talk about today too.
Yeah.
So before we dive in, there might be some folks in the area and our listeners outside of the area that just don't know your background and what brought you here to Winchester, Virginia. So can you just share a little bit about your background before we begin?
Sure. Well, you said that I'm a dinosaur, so I've been a CEO since 1985 when I was 30 years old and in Virginia. And I ran a little bank on the Eastern Shore of Virginia for about 20 years. Loved it over there. And we sold that bank in 2008.
Okay.
And I did some work with failing banks actually in the Southeast, not just in Virginia, which was a great experience. I don't wish it on anybody in terms of being in a failing organization, but it was really interesting working for their boards and helping them through that. And then I had an opportunity to come up here to First Bank in Strasburg, which has been around since 1907 and was struggling through the recession like so many community banks. And I got to come up here and really join a team that had a really great foundation for a banking company and just needed to kind of wrestle the alligators and kind of find their way through the swamp, if you will. And I thought I'd be up here for 3 or 4 years and we'd fix it and I'd probably drift back to the Eastern Shore, and we've just fell in love with it. It's been great living. It's great living.
Yeah, well, we're so glad you're here. I feel like the First Bank has made such a big difference in the community, very involved in all the community efforts. I bank with First Bank. I love it. You guys really do build a relationship with all your clients.
Thank you very much.
It really makes a difference.
That.
I mean, I talk to banks all the time, right? We go to a networking event and every bank says that they're different and they're focused on relationships, but I truly believe that you guys are different. And all the people that I meet that are out in the community and represent First Bank really show a lot about the culture that you've built. The first person I met from First Bank was Darkus Brenneman, and I think that says it all
It
right
doesn't
there.
get any better than that.
It doesn't get any
if I
better.
could just have 100 Darkuses, I don't know where we'd be. But,
yeah, we need to clone.
She's wonderful. We talk all the time about our organization being part of the fabric of our communities. And I said, we've been around since 1907. We acquired a bank in Roanoke that actually was founded in 1875, same year as Shenandoah University. So really serving communities in Virginia for 150 years. And we talk a lot about adapting and evolving over that period from then to now and how we're continuing to have to do that. People talk all the time about compounded interest. I talk with my employees about our compounded impact on our communities over 100 years of doing the kind of stuff you see us do every day, and it compounds and really helps our communities thrive and our businesses thrive, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that, the compounded impact. It really makes sense. So we're going to talk about the intentional growth over the course of your time at First Bank, but what you've done to preserve that culture. You said that it had a strong foundation. You wrestled some alligators, you mentioned. But as the organization expanded, what are some of the intentional choices that you really made in order to grow that culture?
You know, it's interesting. You need to preach the gospel pretty consistently in terms of just your core values of community and coworkers and customers, and just making sure you stay focused there. We have a program that I like a lot it's called One Powerful Action. Of course, First Bank's tagline is "There's power in one," and we talk about one powerful action, and employees recognize each other for doing little things that make a difference, whether it's for a coworker or for a customer, and we recognize those folks every quarter. Usually highlight sort of the top one, and sometimes there are things that we feel like we do every day, but we don't say anything about it. And it may be as simple as a customer at the drive-in who gets her cash and the wind's blowing and it blows out across the field, and one of our folks runs out and can't get there fast enough to pick it all up, give it to the customer, and they go away happy. And it's just a little thing, but it reminds everybody it's a people business. Or, a customer passed out in our lobby one day, and, the teller got there and held that customer until an ambulance came, comforted them, and just did what we do for each other. And it's just, I hope, reinforces that culture of helping each other. And we see the same thing with employees who recognize other employees for answering the phone at 5 minutes to 5 with a complicated customer question and not being burdened by it. Being cheerful about it. And so I think that really helps kind of reinforce how important it is that we're a people business. And we say it all the time, we've got everybody's got a bank branch in their pocket now in their telephone, but it's still a people business.
It is. So what would you say is the why behind First Bank?
It's, we talk about that a lot in our orientation, but for me, it's about helping people thrive, and it may be our employees, helping them grow and thrive. It's definitely our customers, and helping them navigate their businesses and their plans for the future. And we really started with the community and just how important it is to be part of the fabric of that. And when all of those are growing and thriving, it makes me feel pretty good. I think it makes all of us feel really good.
I have to say, when I've run into challenges and have questions in my business, even when I went from sole proprietorship to LLC, and I didn't know what that meant for banking, and do I have to create new accounts, and what do I do with all of this, right? I know I can call and I can get the support that I need, and I can tell that they care as if it's their own business.
It's a people business. It's really nice. And I generally will meet with our individual branches, once a year, once every 2 years, and sit in their management meetings. And at the end of those meetings, they can ask me any questions. And I remember, it's been 10 years ago maybe, and one of the tellers in our branch in Winchester said, "Well, what's my job going to be in 10 years?" Because they could see this transition happening, and customers moving to banking on their phone and just not needing to come in. And what we talked about then, and it's really where we've kind of found ourselves is you're not just going to be, you're going to be an advisor. You're not going to be counting cash and taking loan payments. You're going to be solving problems.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a much broader knowledge of what the customer needs and be able to solve their problems when they come in or when they call. And it seems to be working out that way. Less and less traffic through the branches now.
I feel like there will always be a group of people that will prefer to walk into a bank and do business with a person face to face, though. I know I will always want to.
It's really interesting. I hope you're right, because our value proposition is really sitting across the desk from a customer and solving their problems. And that still is a critical component. The other thing that brings customers in is just the engagement with the tellers, with the people. It's really interesting how it's not First Bank, it's Demetria.
Yeah,
or Kathy,
it's so funny that
or
you
Carol,
said her. Yeah.
Or it's the folks that make you smile when you come in.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of, particularly the older customers who, that's the way we banked, right, for so long. They just want to come in and have a cup of coffee and talk to the folks they like and that like them and want to know how their dog is. So it's that's the fun part of it.
It's funny you say that, because I know that I can whip out my app and do a mobile deposit right at my desk in there. But I will, during my lunch, go down and I will deposit it and go through the line, because Demetria always greets me by name, checks in on me. How are things going? We have a whole conversation, and I look forward to that instead of just doing it from my desk.
Well, I'm guilty. I'm on the second floor, and I get a check, and I take a picture of it and deposit it on my phone, and then I think, I've just got to go down there and see everybody.
Yes,
I can't sit up here and do that.
Did you just admit that, Scott? That's funny.
I do go down there for him to cash a check for me, though.
Okay.
I can't get cash out of my phone.
Yeah, I get it. Well, when you submitted the application to be on the podcast, you laid out some key principles that you really wanted to share with folks. And I thought that they were wonderful and really do make a difference when it comes to culture. So I want to kind of go through those. And one of them we mentioned at the beginning of the episode. You talked about, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, like I did with this, right? You were, 30 when you became the CEO of a bank, right?
Yeah.
Talk about pushing yourself outside your comfort zone.
It was interesting. I was 30 years old. I grew up in Richmond and had lived there most of my life, and had an opportunity to go run a very small bank on the Eastern Shore of Virginia, 3 hours away. The Eastern Shore of Virginia, not unlike the Shenandoah Valley. Just little small villages and surrounded by water instead of mountains. But I was not ready for that job. I was 30 years old. I thought I had to be expected to be the smartest guy in the room. And an very insecure CEO, trying to figure out what my role was. But it really it forced me to make mistakes and to grow. And the hardest part for me at that time was managing up. It was managing my board of directors.
Okay.
Managing my team. Influencing my team was easier, because for me, my leadership style, if you will, was probably a little demanding because I was 30 years old, but it also was leading by example. So I wasn't asking anybody to do anything that I wasn't going to get in there and do with them.
Right.
So just rolling up my sleeves and working really hard. And in the process, made mistakes, learned a lot along the way, and remained a CEO for a long time and grew the bank and, continued to learn and grow.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. Public speaking for me was, as you said, was hard for you to start off with. Like, I never wanted to make a presentation in front of the class. Don't make me do it. And you do it enough in front of your employees, in front of a chamber function, and you get very comfortable with it, and it's how you grow into being a better influencer. And a better leader. So it's, there are just different steps that I kind of took, I guess, along the way. Even recently, we had employee who tragically died in a car accident a year or so ago, who was a manager of our Woodstock office, and I went to her funeral in Woodstock, and it was a huge crowd, and we must have had, I don't know, 30 or 40 employees there, and they asked for folks to come up and say something.
Oh, okay.
Well, didn't go to that funeral with the expectation that I needed to be prepared to say anything in front of a group, especially in that circumstance.
Right.
And I did. I felt like I needed to. I mean, I had to say something for her and for our people, and it was really, really hard.
I'm sure.
But I was so glad I did it. Because I had to do it for my team and for our folks, and I could never have done that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You do those things and you learn that, thank goodness I did it. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that I just said, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. And you come away the better for it, I think.
Yeah. And you're modeling that for your people too, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. They see it. They probably didn't know that was outside your comfort zone, did they?
I don't know if they did or not. They see me talk all the time, so they probably maybe they expected it. But it's a different environment, and very emotional for everybody, including the person speaking.
Yeah. So what do you do to encourage your team to push themselves outside of their comfort zone? This seems to be something you continue to do. Well, how do you encourage that in your people?
I probably I do that more, I'll say, kind of one-on-one or individually. I don't know that I do a good job of driving that as a culture in our organization, but I try to identify, and I think that's maybe one of the skills or attributes perhaps that I feel like has been a benefit to me, is recognizing people that have runway and people that need to be challenged out of their comfort zone, because there are some that either don't desire to go to another level or to continue to grow, but so much, and identifying those folks and challenging them up and giving them assignments. I had a couple of people that work for me, and there's nothing better than watching people grow.
Yeah.
That's what I love about my job, actually. I had a lady that worked for me early on when I was in my 30s. She was a part-time teller, and she became my most productive lender in the company as we just gave her more and more opportunities, and you could just see her thriving and taking it on and growing, and just a lot of fun. Dennis Dysart, who's the president of the bank now, when I came to work at the bank, he was on the administrative and retail side of the bank and had never really been in the loan side. And I said we were wrestling alligators. We had a lot of troubled loans that we were trying to deal with. And I'll say that Dennis got volunteered in a fashion to take on that project of really challenging loan relationships. And you just watched him, and he's so smart. He's just really a smart guy and high integrity. And he took that job on, and it really enabled him to grow into the role as president.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's been with the bank for 35 years and started in the branches as a teller.
Oh, wow.
So he's grown over the years, but so much fun to give him that and just watch him take it. And the fun part is watching folks that you give that opportunity kind of exceed their own expectations.
Yeah.
They didn't realize how good they could be. I mean, they knew they were good, perhaps, but all of a sudden they look back and say, "Wow, look where I've gotten."
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you should say that because I just did an episode in the last couple of weeks about believing in people before they believe in themselves, and then they start to realize their potential, and they're amazed by what they can do. And it sounds like you're creating that environment for people there.
I love that.
Yeah,
I really love that. And it's, some people get trapped in, they hold their people back, and it holds them back.
yeah.
And if they would grow their people, it really enables them to continue to grow themselves. And I've seen that in several organizations, including mine, where folks couldn't relinquish that sort of control, and they smothered people that otherwise could be really talented and grow, and then they kind of tethered themselves to work that they'd outgrown,
Yeah.
or should have outgrown.
Yeah.
So it's really important if you want to continue to grow.
Agreed. One of the other things that you had shared was the importance of honest communication, that transparency piece. And I have to say, a lot of my clients will ask questions about how transparent should you be? When are you sharing too much to the point where maybe there's uncertainty for folks and they shouldn't know things, versus when should you be open? So what does honest communication and transparency look like at First Bank?
So, it's interesting. I think of it more, I think transparency is one thing.
Okay.
I think honest, genuine communication is the critical component.
Okay.
Transparency is like you open the book to everything. And as a leader, I don't think that it's fair for me, frankly, to show my employees everything that's under the tent. If I'm wrestling with the board about a strategy, and it would discourage my team, I don't need to open that tent up today.
Yeah. Okay.
I just need to be really honest and genuine about where we're going and what we're trying to do, and
Okay.
And move forward. Now, the more open book, the more the book can be open, the better. And we don't hide anything. In fact, we try to over communicate, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard to communicate enough, because some people like email, and some people like newsletters, and some people like memos, and some people like phone conversations, and and videos. And so we're wrestling with that right now.
Yeah.
Is what is the most effective, and I think it's kind of all of the above.
I was going to say, I think you do it all. I've seen some really amazing newsletters that you've put out before.
Well, I'll give Kathleen credit for the newsletter. She
Okay.
took that on about 10 years ago, and some of us kind of rolled our eyes. Well, yeah, we'll do a newsletter, and like everybody looks forward to the newsletter.
Yeah.
And it really is it's a great communication tool. It makes it fun. And the other thing it does is it introduces people across the state. I mean, we've got 30 plus branches across Virginia, and they get to know more about each other and see what they're doing in the communities. But when I talk about genuine, honest communication, not just with your broader population, but individually with folks that you're trying to grow, I think you've got to be not brutally honest, just honest about what your expectations are, clear about what your expectations are and what you think their capabilities are, and help them get there and challenge them there. And if you kind of beat around the bush about it, or you aren't clear about it, they don't know that they've got work to do, or that like I'm doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Like, just share it with me. I think that's a really important piece. I love to meet with our employees in the smaller groups. It's the bigger we've gotten, the farther away I get from my branch people. And so when I go to these branch meetings, I get to hear what's really happening, not, the third layer up, but like what's really happening out there, and what's getting bogged down by the next level or the next two levels up. It's like, well, we can just turn that switch. It doesn't need to wait in a queue somewhere for 3 levels of people to approve it.
But that says a lot about the level of trust in the organization, too, if they will sit down with you and openly share their concerns. if you're open to hearing what's going on, you're not afraid to kind of face the truth of what's going on behind the scenes, and they're obviously comfortable sharing it.
I've got pretty thick skin, and I think you need to.
Yeah.
But we do an all-employee WebEx every quarter, and I always end it with giving them my extension and telling anybody that has a question to call me, and that my door is open and come in. And I often will qualify that with, "Don't come in and whine."
Like, come with solutions.
It's not a whining opportunity.
Yeah.
But call me anytime if you got questions or needs.
Yeah, that's good. Do people take advantage of that?
Occasionally.
Okay.
Occasionally. It really, and I say that. I mean, I had a part-time teller. I was in there Saturday, and she came up. She texted me and said, "Can I come up and talk to you?"
Okay, good.
And came up and sat down and chatted with me and told me, what some of her ambitions were and what some of her worries were. And I was proud of her for for coming up to the second floor and coming into the CEO's office and just being willing to talk to me. I loved it, actually.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy to hear that. All right, one of the other things you had shared was not leading from the ivory tower, which I feel like you've touched on a little bit, but can you tell me more about what you meant by that? What does that look like in practice?
For me, and it's, I guess, because you've got to know that you're not the smartest guy in the room. So you've got to get out and get involved and show people that you're willing to do the hard work. And I'm old-fashioned that way too. Like, I don't know that you need to do that these days, but for me, maybe because I'm still an old, insecure CEO, I feel like I've got to show my people that I'm in with them. Like, I'm still going to be the first one there in the morning. Like, I don't want people getting there before me. I want them to see that I'm committed and I'm there, and I'm probably going to be the last one there in the evening, or one of the last ones. And if there's something blows up, I need to be there.
Yeah.
If people are going to take off the week of Christmas, well, how come I get to? Right? I mean, so to me, it's just showing you're willing to roll up your sleeves, and you're willing to get into the fire with them.
Okay.
I think that's a really important piece. I don't. Sometimes people don't feel like the customer, that I need to have the customer complain to me. I love it if the customer complains to me, because there are not that many banks that the customer can talk to the CEO of the bank and say, "Why do you do it this way?"
Yeah.
Or, "I think you're treating me unfairly." And frankly, it's so much fun to listen to the problem and solve it and help fix it and alleviate it and show support for my team.
Yeah.
Show them that I support them, help find a solution. And so just being connected, I think, is really important. And like you say, not just being aloof or, finding yourself getting out of touch, really.
Yeah. You're talking about modeling a lot of awesome behavior. I often, when I'm working with high school students and talking about what does effective leadership look like, I'm hearing a lot of those things now, the things that you're modeling. What other types of things do you feel like you're modeling for your people on a regular basis that you want to see in them?
That's a fair question. I think hopefully thinking beyond today.
Okay.
I think it's really critical that you're looking forward kind of all the time. And, when I came to the bank and we were in the doldrums, they really needed somebody to say, "Yeah, this is a mess, but this is where we're going."
Yeah.
And if we wrestle these alligators, we can be here, and we'll be really proud of ourselves. And if we're here and we think we're on top of the world, we still got to look out here.
Yeah.
and say, here's what we're building, here's where we're going. And I think keeping everybody, and that's the board and your team, looking forward strategically and with your energy is really important. And then it makes it really fun to look back.
I was wondering, how much should you look back?
Well, I think you ought to look back to say we accomplished what we set out to. And by the way, we think we're stretching now. Mm-hmm. You remember what it looked like 5 years ago? That's who we are and where we're going, and let's keep moving in that direction. It's I give Nick Szabo credit for it, but I'm not sure who said it. But he was at a meeting. He said, "Think big, start small, act now."
Oh, I like that.
Which is, I think, really good, and what we try to model. Dennis likes to remind me that I like to do things incrementally as opposed to try to take it all on at once.
Right.
And when you do, it's like a savings plan, right? Or it's compounded interest, or it's, you do things incrementally and you look back and you've come a long way and built something really significant or important. But it does require action. Mm-hmm. It didn't just think big.
Yeah. So what are some ways that you're thinking big right now? What are you looking forward to for First Bank?
Well, let's see. So we're a public company, so I can't give forward-looking statements. But,
okay.
No,
all right.
It's we've built a banking company that's a pretty reasonable sized Virginia banking franchise. So when I came, we were headquartered in Strasburg, where we still are, and we had about $500 million in assets and I think 10 or 11 branches. And today we go all the way down the valley to Roanoke and out to Richmond, and we've got 30 plus branches and $2 billion in assets, and none of it was all by design. Mm-hmm. When we came out of the Great Recession, our plan was to really rebuild the foundation and strengthen the bank so that we could be opportunistic as an organization. Okay. And opportunistic meant we can just grow organically, or we can acquire things if we might have the opportunity. And the first thing that we did was acquire 6 branches from Bank of America back in 2015. And they were exiting small communities like Waynesboro and Elkton and Stanton, and they're communities that we belong in. Mm-hmm. So, we kind of came to the rescue in a way. Yeah. And it was a really great transaction for us and a very low-risk transaction. And then we had the opportunity to acquire the little bank in Roanoke, actually in Fincastle. And it continued us down the valley, and into a really nice market there. And then, more recently did the one in Richmond, which gives us a nice presence there. And now we're the 16th largest bank in Virginia out of 57 banks. So just a really attractive Virginia franchise. We'd like to continue to build that Virginia franchise. Mm-hmm. So think there should be opportunities for additional acquisitions. Yeah. For us, now that we've done it sort of 3 times, banks that are looking for an exit strategy kind of know we can do it. Yeah. And we know all the banks in Virginia just because one of us has been around so long. So it's, there are opportunities, and banks continue to consolidate, because you talked about scale, and scale is really important. The one thing that is a real challenge there that we're still learning from is back to culture. Mm-hmm. And how do you bring 3 different cultures now together into one? Yeah. And it's a constant effort. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we learned early on was that in one of our first acquisitions, we really tried so hard to listen to the folks we were acquiring in terms of how they do things, and try not to just impose our will, but it's probably our culture on them. And we realized after that we actually needed to say, this is who we are, be really clear about it. Yeah. And if you want to be with us, we want you. But if you don't, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is the organization that we are and how we operate. So we're still learning and pulling those, pulling the three different cultures together. But it's coming together really nicely, and still have a little more work to do probably.
Well, I'm glad you went there, because that was going to be my exact question as you continue to acquire these places. How do you take this culture and kind of reproduce it in all these new locations when they already have their own? So it sounds like you've already been working through that, and you've learned some lessons along the way. Sounds like
we're working on it.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Okay.
And it does require for us to adapt and evolve as well.
Yeah.
I mean, our core organization. You've got, as I've told our entire team, I said, I've never run a $2 billion bank before. So I've got the same challenges everybody does. I've got to adapt and evolve to it. I've got to bring other people into the organization that can challenge me and challenge us, that have experience in large organizations. And so that's part of what we're doing to really help develop our team. And we've brought a CFO into our organization last year that was a chief operating officer in a $15 billion banking company.
Okay.
So he comes in and really can help give us a fresh perspective and challenge us and push us, which is really interesting. And we brought another person in from a $3 or $4 billion bank that is helping us with project management. So really bringing pieces in to help all of us continue to grow.
Yeah, lots of learning opportunities. Okay, so speaking of learning opportunities, you led through the recession and through a pandemic. So I want to separate the two. What specific leadership skills were important when leading through the recession?
Well, I think most importantly was what we talked about a minute ago, which was let's develop a vision for where we're going.
Okay.
Because if we just focus on I'll call it the big steaming pile, it takes the fun out of it.
Yeah.
It just, it's a grind. But if you're dealing with that to get you to here, it's just a heck of a lot more fun, and you kind of want to chase it and get there. So I think that's as important as anything. And then, back to that sort of genuine, honest sort of communication on what the critical components are to get us there.
Okay.
I think those are probably the two critical pieces. And then just not to take yourself too seriously.
Okay.
Like, it's a serious deal, but you've got to smile and have a little fun, I think. And ultimately, I tell all of our employees, I said, if you're not having fun, then you're in the wrong place. So let's make sure that you're enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah. When you say smile and have a little fun, I can't help but think you didn't used to like public speaking, but I can picture you right now standing on the counter at the First Bank branch at the chamber event, always projecting your voice, and you are so confident there. I love it, but it brings so much fun. It really does.
Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
perfect. Okay, well, what about through the pandemic? How was that different leading through the pandemic than through the recession? Any specific advice on leading through something like that?
That was hard because I like being with people, and you were being kind of segregated from people.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting because it really forced us to grow as an organization. And I think most organizations, we had never contemplated virtual meetings as a regular thing.
Right.
As a way to be more efficient in how we operate. Or, you had people coming into the drive-in because they weren't coming into the office. Well, in the old days, all you can do is cash a check in the drive-in. You can't do everything else you want to do.
Yeah.
Well, during COVID, we said,
That's
yes,
the
they
only
can.
option.
Oh, by the way, we should have been doing that all along. What a great learning experience for us. And so it was an opportunity as we talk, as when we get together as an entire group about adapting and evolving. it's not just adapting and evolving from 1907 to 2000. It's from 2020 to 2022. I mean,
Yeah.
look how much we've had to adapt, and look how positive it really has been for us. So,
Yeah.
I think that's what we learned, and you've got to tackle them head on, and don't complain about it.
Yeah.
I think I see a lot of guys that wring their hands over regulations and over things that they don't like, and that just comes with the territory.
Yeah.
You've just got how you confront those, and don't make it an excuse for your people. It's like,
Yeah.
we can do it. Let's tackle it and let's go forward.
Yeah, I love seeing those situations like the pandemic, for example. Of course, there was a ton of bad that came along with it, but how much you learned through it, and you were able to tap into new things that you never would have done if something like that wouldn't have happened.
Who's wearing masks in a bank?
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't grow up that way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to throw you for a loop here for a second. So I have my listeners write in with any challenges that they're facing so that we can answer their questions, hopefully give a little guidance. And I thought you might be a good person to help me with this. So this is what the submission was for this week. This person said, I keep sharing the why behind our work with my people, but I can tell it's not landing like it used to. People are tired and no longer inspired. How do I re-energize the vision without sounding like a broken record? What do you think?
It's the great question, isn't it? I mean, you can preach the gospel so long that it kind of starts to fall on deaf ears. I think part of that, the way you solve it is to show progress.
Okay, it's like what you said
is to show successes, and as we look at integrating our organization, and we just we get our feedback, and we've got a list of things, and we say, oh yeah, we're working on this. We've put committees together. All right, well, show me something. Like, just show me the top 5 things that you've done today towards that goal,
right,
or towards my vision. And I think that's the way you solve it.
Okay.
You actually demonstrate successes within your vision, or things that you're doing that are getting you there, and because otherwise it does sort of fall on deaf ears.
Yeah. They can't just keep hearing it. They have to actually see it. What does the vision look like in action?
They have to see the results.
And how they can contribute to that. I feel like people have to feel like they can have an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it's critical. I mean, just show me where I affected it, or where you responded to my need for,
right.
Like, show me something. I think I like breaking these things down into those incremental pieces that you can say, yes, we did that. Yes, we did this. We discarded this. It was a bad idea.
Yeah.
But it's helping us solve problems for our customers, or grow our employees, or whatever it may be. We get feedback like that around communication, of course, and we do a lot of leadership development in the organization, but we don't brag on it enough. We realize people crave it, and we talk about it, but what do you really do?
Yeah.
Well, we sent 3 cohorts of 12 different employees to leadership development at Laurel Ridge Community College from across the organization. Like, the only people that know are those 36.
Yeah, unless you share it.
Yeah, so you've got to share it and communicate that.
Yeah. I noticed the other thing that they said is that people are tired. So recognizing burnout being a thing, and people feeling like they're overloaded, overworked. What do we do when people are feeling that sense of burnout? How can we acknowledge that and show that we do care and value them? We're not just trying to get the work done.
I guess it's back to that sort of genuine communication when you acknowledge it, like owning it.
Yeah.
And say, like, I know you've been grinding. Like, I know we closed on a merger in October, and then we did a computer conversion in January, and then we want you to do this. And they're like pulling their hair out, and it's like giving them a mea culpa. It's like, I know. Like, I know what we've been doing to you, and thank you, thanks for all of it. But I think it's acknowledging it. And then to the extent that you can throw them a bone that's fun, we actually have an all-employee bonus. So if our company hits our goal for the company, every employee in the bank gets a 3% bonus.
That's amazing.
No matter where they are, who they are.
Yeah.
It can be as much as 4.5%. And that's always a nice lift, when you succeed and get there, especially when people are really grinding on, so many things that they start to get burned out. It was like during COVID, people really were getting worn out, and it was really hard to figure out how to lift their spirits,
right?
Because you weren't with them. I mean, as much as you otherwise would be.
And you were struggling just as much as them because you wanted to be with them, right? Like,
it's like, I'm here. Where is everybody?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you for that feedback. Hopefully this helps our listener. So I mentioned right before the episode that I like to give a shout out, Leadership in the Wild, who's doing something really amazing in the community that you'd like to acknowledge. Who are you seeing leading well in our community?
It's such a great community, and there's so many people that I think do great work. There are probably a couple that I think of. One is really obvious, and that's Cynthia Schneider at the Chamber of Commerce. I was on the board when we hired her as the CEO. She was in the organization before that. And I've watched her grow in that role and grow with her confidence and how she communicates the mission and the voice for business. And she's just done a remarkable job, in my opinion, with that organization, leading it publicly, leading it inside the walls of the organization. And I've been really proud of the work that she's done there. It's been really good. Then I think of somebody like Brian Pellet at Bonnie Blue, which is, it's just a Southern bakery restaurant right on the corner. And the amount of stuff that he does for organizations without looking for a lot of acknowledgement, but he does so many things for organizations, and he does so much for his people that work for him. And I've watched them. You watch folks come in there, and how he helps them grow.
Yeah.
And he's grown a couple of sous chefs to move on to other places, and he's brought folks in that needed help and lifted their expectations of themselves and turned them into really friendly, service-oriented, talented people. And I just admire the way he's done that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a great reminder that I should probably take you out for some sausage gravy.
We should go to Bonnie Blue for a little sausage gravy, shouldn't we?
That will be your thank you for being on the podcast today. I'll take you out for some sausage gravy. Yeah. No, those two wonderful people to highlight. So I'm going to do two of your team members that already came up in conversation. So Darcus Brenneman, obviously a lot of reasons to acknowledge her, but I just love how she takes the time to do those cutouts from newspapers and magazines and always laminates them and sends them out to people with a special handwritten note. That means so much. You don't know how many things I have on my bulletin board from her from over the years, and every single time it just makes my heart happy.
Isn't she amazing?
She's so amazing.
I mean, she is just so oriented to her customers and to good service and thoughtful about people, and
Yeah.
she does comb through the newspapers and
Yeah.
share those things, and it means a lot.
It really
It
does.
just means a lot to people, and it's it's not unlike our tellers calling you by name when you come in, and just acknowledging and how is anything about you. They
Yeah.
they know
Yeah.
you and they're paying attention and they care. And yeah, Darkus she's great. She's
Yeah.
been, and she's really a good influence on people around her. It just rubs off.
Yeah, she has been on me for sure. And Demetria, it's so funny. I saw her recently in the line. She said, I thought something was wrong with you. It's been so long. Well, I've been traveling. We've been on the road a week, home a week, alternating all year. And she literally thought something was wrong because I hadn't been through the line in a while. And she was checking in on me and how the business was going. And it just meant so much. So just her smiling face and the joy that she brings every time I see her.
She really does. She does put a smile on your face with
Yeah.
her smile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean it's
beautiful.
She's great, and I'll have folks say, "Oh, the teller at the drive-in the other day was so nice and just talking to me." And I said, "Was it Demetria?" Yes.
Yep. Yep. You know.
All of our tellers
You know.
are really good,
Yes,
by the way.
they
And,
are. They
you
are.
know, when we acquire banks, it's always interesting to me how you worry about changing the name and on the bank, and nobody's going to bank with us. And we started with this earlier. They're in dealing with the people.
Yeah.
And if those tellers are smiling at customers when they come in, the lenders are being helpful, that's why folks are dealing with us.
Yeah.
We're just lucky that we were able to get their people onto our team.
Right.
And
Right.
so it is all about the people.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, that's a good way to close it out. So I always end with a branching out challenge. So what do you want to challenge our listeners to do? If they take one action based on what they've heard today, what action would you recommend they take?
I think it's, we started with getting out of your comfort zone, and that's, I think I'll say it's an easy one. It's an easy one to identify. It's a hard one to do, but I would encourage them to do it, and or encourage their people to do it.
Yeah.
And give them a chance to grow.
Yeah. That's perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing all this value today. I really appreciate you and all you've done for me too. You've been wonderful to me since the day I met you.
I introduced you to Bonnie Blue.
You
right?
did. You did. Yes. Can't wait to go back. But thank you for your time, Scott.
Well, thank you, Sierra. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it. I'm sorry I was hard to pin down on it,
okay.
but it's been fun. Looks like you're doing a great job with this. I love it.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, listeners, for sticking through to the end of the episode. I hope you found value today. Just a reminder of why we do this. So the mission of this podcast is to take leadership skills and remind you that no matter where you are, what role you find yourself in, you can apply these skills to everyday life. It is not just for the CEO of a company. These podcasts are things that you can implement in your family, in your community, no matter where you are. So as always, we release a new episode on Fridays at Eastern Standard Time, so be on the lookout for that. If you subscribe, you'll get those notifications, so you'll know a new episode has dropped. And we are, of course, about to go into season 3. We have some exciting announcements coming up, maybe even our first sponsor to share. So I'm excited that that's coming. But we're always looking for partners who believe in our mission. If you are a business owner and you think that your mission aligns with ours, I'd love to talk to you about how we can get you involved in the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, keep branching out.